There's no one to talk about the next economic plan. They have to fill out the entire government to be able to resume these kind of activities. And, you know, the government, you know, one of the reasons this happened is because the government had been put in this position of having almost no power because of the Fiscal Oversight and Management Board. They could suggest economic plans, but they ultimately had to be approved by the Fiscal Oversight and Management Board, La Junta. And they often sort of fought back in this sort of theatrical way that was, didn't make any sense. It was, they were just playing a role, which I think you can see a lot in the chats too. They thought the whole thing was a joke. They would fight back and say, no, we're not going to cut the pensions. In fact, they were advocating for not cutting the pensions. But in the end, they'd always give in to the Fiscal Oversight and Management Board.
And the vulture capitalists who profited off of the hurricane and the money that came in, the money not actually going to the victims of Hurricane Maria, the frustration of the people before. Of course, this didn't start 12 days ago. Perhaps the mass visual manifestation of the protests of the thousands and then hundreds of thousands. There were many protesting, even in the streets before, and even those who didn't. The terrific pain and discontent in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. I would say you had a hardcore of demonstrators that go back to 2010, 2011, when Fortunio, who was the first governor who tried to implement austerity measures, was really pushed back against by university students and labor unions. That formed a kind of a hardcore of resistance in Puerto Rico. And then, yes, the emotional weight of dealing with the hurricane and not having electricity for months and not being able to take a shower and worrying about your loved ones and having the demoralizing feeling that everyone wanted to leave, really it came out in a burst of emotion. That was the huge amount of people who joined this core of resistance, some of which was formed by people who were in this group called Victoria Ciudadana, which is the major figures are Rafael Bernabe, who you had here before, and Alexandra Lugaro, and Manuel Natal, who has done a lot of, he's a state representative who had done a lot of investigative research about both the Elias Sanchez and the Edwin Miranda scandal. These people are advocating for a new politics in Puerto Rico that isn't just concerned with status, but wants to really deal with
status being Commonwealth, statehood, or independence.
Exactly. New forms of making democracy, new kinds of politics for Puerto Rico, and they might emerge in the 2020 election. They are considering asking Trump to name a kind of government fund czar, which I think, to me, it harkens back to the days of appointed military governors in Puerto Rico. This czar would probably have the ultimate power, maybe even over the... it's actually an interesting fight between the executive branch and Congress, because Congress controls most of the affairs of Puerto Rico, and the Promesa Act and the Oversight Board is a creation of Congress. So all of that is very threatening. But I do think that the people of Puerto Rico are really, they're together now, and their intent. There's going to be another march today. They're trying to show that they are united, and it's going to be an interesting thing to see what happens with this people power.